Good morning. Good morning. What is up, folks? JT here with another Chart Talk Live. It is Thursday, July 17th. Hope everybody is doing well. Let me get my screen sharing going. What's up, Navy Plum? Good to see you. Good morning, as always. Let me get, where's the button? There we go. All right, screen sharing is up. YouTube looks good. All right, I think we're good to go across the board here. Let's dig in. Let's start talking about what we're seeing here in the markets. And okay, cool. All right. So, what are we seeing here in the markets? We're going to start by taking a look at ES. As we always do, try to get our bearings, try to get our, our directional bias kind of in place and confirmed and ready to go for the day. Obviously, quite the volatile day yesterday with the Trump firing J Powell, not going to fire J Powell, not interested in firing J Powell. It's, yeah, that was par for the course. I guess that's the best way for me to describe it. Par for the course with the current administration. You don't really know what the position is, what's actually happening. It changes from moment to moment or with the direction of the wind, I think, as I've said before. What is up, new trader? Good morning. Hope you're doing well. So, that being said, I don't think we have unemployment numbers this morning, but I don't think that there is a lot of weight being put into those. But let's take a look real quick. Jobless claims came in a little bit under consensus at 221K. Previous reading was 228. They were expected to tick up to 235. They actually dropped a little bit, so that's positive news for the markets. Export prices are coming in pretty decent. Everything with the exception of import prices across the board ticking higher. And then we also had Fed manufacturing index that came in decent this morning. So yeah, no real major data points I would say that should be a factor in what's going on with the markets. So let's focus on the charts as we always do. I don't think there's a lot going on there from a data perspective as far as today goes, and that those data points that did just get released about 3 minutes ago. So overall, things continue to tick to the upside. NTS still showing pretty much fully bullish. Despite that big dip down yesterday, it got bought up so quick it was almost like it never even happened. With that quick 180 reverse course on the whole, Jerome Powell firing. Are we going to try to fire him even though I can't fire him? Scenario that we saw took place with the headlines yesterday. Things holding here above 62.89. That's a strong sign. Holding above the 200 SMA. 200 still above the 333. Everything's slowly but surely still pointed to the upside, flattening out a little bit, and the price has retraced back down to those moving averages. So that is a good thing, in my opinion, as far as potentially creating some momentum just below the price of action to continue to lift things toward the upside. So market's still overall looking bullish. I would not be trying to time the top on any of this. It's a good way to get caught in some bad trades that may never go your way. So we'll continue to look for just the right opportunities to buy the dips as things move and continue to the upside. What's up, Serge? Good morning. We can certainly take a look at SoFi for you. Happy to do that. And Google, of course, for Navy Plum. We'll take a look at that as well. And I think I still owe you a response, don't I, on mentoring, Serge? So I'll get back to you on that. I've not intentionally ignored you, just juggling too many things at once as I tend to do every day of my life. So how about bull? Yeah, we can take a look at bull as well. That's a lot of names starting to look strong and looking like they want to take a next leg up here. So we will get to those. Still, again, looking for kind of that real confirmed break of 633.75. That's the current key resistance. It's not the all-time high on ES. What's up, Savage? First time? Excited to watch. Well, thanks for joining. I appreciate you being here on the YouTube side of things. Hope you're doing well. So, like I said, there's still key resistance there. It's not the exact all-time high. Exact all-time highs would take us up here to about 63.43. We'll go ahead and mark that just so we have it on watch. But again, I think the more important level, the key resistance that really needs to break there on ES is that 63.33. Maybe a not so bizarre coincidence. Awesome. Yeah, please come. Well, don't come every day because we don't do these every day, but come every day. We're doing these. We do them every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm also going to try to make the last Sunday of each month a recurring day for kind of a more open Q&A with a lot more time to kind of dig into things and talk technical analysis. So keep an eye on the Xtrades live stream schedule for that stuff, Savage, as you continue to follow us. But I do appreciate you joining this morning, and please share with your friends, anybody else who's interested in trading, learning about technical analysis, etc. Spread the word. The more folks in the audience, the better, in my opinion. So with that being said, again, from a wow, that's the wrong way to say that. Numerological? I hate that word. Standpoint, 333 is one of my favorite SMAs. Maybe not a strange coincidence that our key resistance has the number 333 in it. Maybe it is just a coincidence. Who knows? But anyway, long story short, things looking strong. We're still in a buy the dip market. Yesterday was a massive dip to be bought and did get bought. And we're continuing to push higher and ultimately making higher lows and slightly higher highs as we kind of look at these chart patterns play out. So again, we'll kind of focus on the right opportunities, look for those pullbacks to key supports, break aboves and back tests, what we always like to see. To try to catch the next leg higher on specific names, and we'll allow the market to do its thing and help us move to the upside that way. Numerical, well, it's numerology, right? So numerological, that's the right way to say it. I don't know why it's such a ties my tongue up so much, but it does. And I feel like I'm a pretty well-spoken person, but that one definitely just totally messed me up. All right, so anyway, let's get to some trade plan recaps. Let's work on some new trade plans. Time is of the essence, as always. Regeneron, we did earlier this week on Tuesday. It's been a nothing to see here ticker so far. I will say it is starting to look good for a breakdown. Things are flipping to the bearish side here on the 15-minute. Let's take a look at the hourly, though. Yeah, NTS trying to catch that bottom and holding it so far very nicely. But also, if we look at this confluence, right, and this is a great way to leverage your indicators is by looking at confluences and where certain things are sitting on multiple time frames, kind of see where you're seeing, similar patterns. I'm immediately noticing a similar pattern here of key support at 546.98. As you can see here on the hourly, that is the key buying support level on the NTS bullish flag. So let's just real quick, we'll mark this down just so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. So we've got that right there at 546.98. If we flip to the 15-minute and look at where this 333 is that we were just talking about, is actually just above that level. So if we're losing the 333 and we ultimately lose this 546.98 level, I think this will continue down to the put entry at the very least. And then from there, we're looking for a confirmed break below that to go short on Regeneron for some of these downside targets. So keep an eye on it. There certainly is potential for an earlier entry. I would say if we continue to reject and stay below the 333 SMA here on the 15-minute as resistance, potential earlier entry, but again, I would at least move my stops up to break even at 538.23 once we get a test there, because that is key support. So we'll want to keep that on watch. What's up, Veritas? Good morning. Yes, I can do MU. I think somebody also DM'd me about taking a look at MU. So lots of requests for MU. So MU, Google, SoFi, Bull, Neo, I think is what we decided how we're going to pronounce that. So I'll try to get through as many of these as I possibly can. Good morning to everybody who's just now trickling in. What's up, Trading Dad? What is up, Edimentium, Owen, Zavi? Good to see you all here as well. All right, so that is our Regeneron trade plan. McDonald's is also on our list of trade plans that we're watching. We did this one Tuesday. This was a Chris request, I know, because he loves those fast food, fast casual tickers as of late. Speaking of the devil, he heard me talking about him. What's up, Chris? Good morning. I was just talking about your penchant for fast food and fast casual stock trades, so you must have heard me mentioning your name. One of my favorite ticker finders is Chris. He's like, hey, check this out, and we almost always find some incredible banger that just, kicks ass. When Chris asked me to take a look at something and I put together the plan to execute that idea. So, McDonald's moving sideways for the most part since our last trade plan rejected that call entry pretty cleanly that we put in place pre-market. Pretty clear double top there. If we look at where things topped out there Friday, topped out again on Tuesday at that same spot. So no surprises that we're seeing a little bit of a pullback there. But again, market is overall in buy the dip mode. McDonald's is mostly bullish. SMAs are still a little bit bearish looking, but they're flattening out. 200 is approaching the crossover above the 333 here before too long, so we'll see if we get that crossover. Could also see some interesting tests of support and potential buy the dip level if you're overall bullish on McDonald's down there at 295.72. I could see a confluence potentially taking shape there in the near future. So keep an eye on 295.72 as key support on this. That is also a part of our plan. Below that, I think we do start moving to the downside and hitting some of those downside price targets. We did BABA last Thursday. We already know how this one's played out. It's been a massive move to the upside. Big gap up there on some of the positive developments with chips being able to ship to China again. That's really helped NVIDIA and AMD as well, and obviously giving some momentum to the upside for Chinese tickers as well. One thing I will just kind of point out here, although it doesn't really matter until it's confirmed and we break the neckline, which if we have one, it's probably sitting right about here. Pretty clear, or seems like it's clear, but again, who knows? Head and shoulders pattern there, so keep an eye on that trend line to break down. That could see a pullback potentially down to this 112.16 level. Also has the 333 SMA right below that, ready to help add some support there on BABA if it does break down. But overall, this one's played out for all of our upside price targets and then some, after giving us the confirmed break back here last Thursday when we actually put this plan out initially. So this one has been a big winner for folks who traded it. And Adobe, we also did last Thursday, finally giving us the breakdown, and looks like a back test there yesterday. So as long as we're holding below 363.30, Adobe, despite overall markets looking bullish, could make a pretty decent bearish move to the downside. So I'd keep a close watch on this. Make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of time on your contract expirations. And we'll let this one play out as planned, we hope. But again, remember, we're kind of fighting against market momentum, playing for the downside. That doesn't mean individual names can't show weakness and can't pull back. Adobe's certainly looking like it wants to be one of those names, but just remember, again, overall, we're in a buy the dip market, and the market will help keep things a little bit elevated or cushioned below, and tickers will, for the most part, probably struggle to move to the downside unless the market also shifts direction and assists with that move to the downside. Let me see, Chris. Yeah, I'd say probably like just call it 114 if you want a round number. As far as a potential break below, if you're talking about whoops, didn't mean to do that. If you're talking about next key resistance, let's take a look at our levels. We don't have them all on here at the moment. I mean, a push back toward that 116.98 would be interesting over that. And again, Baba going to have gaps all over the place. Yeah, you're probably about 118.40, something like that. What's up, Baby Yoda? Good morning. Good to see you here. Long time no see. We miss you every day and your incredible moderation skills. Would love to see those back in the mix. But we'll see. Yeah, man. Hope you're doing well. Glad to see that you're still popping in every once in a while. It's always good to see you and hear from you. All right, let's get to some of these ticker requests from this morning. Did have, although I got a DM this morning from somebody asking me to take a look at MU, and they're not even in the live stream this morning. What is that? All right, we're going to give preference to folks who actually showed up, but I will try to get to, unless Veritas, maybe you are Neo Trader and you're just over on YouTube. Maybe you're the same person for all I know. In which case, I appreciate you joining, and we will try to get to MU for you for sure. All right, so let's just real quick, though. Let's start with Google. I was going to say, I thought we had an existing trade plan on Google, don't we? Yeah. So let's take a look at this first, see how this is shaping up. So this one was one that I did for the top tickers that have been getting posted in Xtrades. When did I do it, though? I want to nail that down. Was it yesterday or the day before? Yeah, Google I did on 7/14. So but that was probably, so really kind of the first day was probably in effect. Nah, I probably did early in the day or toward the afternoon. I don't know. But we'll just say probably the real first full trading day that this would have been in effect would have been right there. Gave us a breakout to the upside. Keeps faltering right around this 184.19 level. That's interesting. Did I have that as a key resistance and just ignored it? I had 184.40. Let's go back. I want to see why this is kind of topping out prematurely, if we can spot that. I mean, there was that one rejection right there. We've been tapping a little bit higher than that. And this, to me, looked like more of a rejection of the SMAs to the downside there. Yeah, I'm surprised we're really struggling there at 184.40. To me, looks like it should complete the move back up to that prior key resistance up to 185.41. But it's been certainly struggling, shy of our price target. So, sometimes them's the breaks, I guess. But overall, still holding above the call entry there. And you can certainly use these levels and obviously indicators that you like to watch as a means to sort of figure out how you might want to adjust or adapt this plan. I certainly wouldn't have hated the idea. Obviously, in hindsight, being 2020, not going to claim any kind of, not taking a victory lap on this or anything like that, but I certainly could see making a case for, after this kind of premature rejection there, playing off that call entry again as a potential average down, and then trying to exit or take at least some profits and scale back on your position size on a retest of that prior high from Tuesday. But overall, let's focus on the plan. I just was kind of curious why it kept sort of stalling out there. Slipping below the 200 SMA here on the 15-minute, that's not the worst thing in the world. Let's take a look at the hourly. Still a little bit overextended, and maybe that's why it's kind of having a hard time really getting that final push up to our PT. But overall, this call entry still seems to be holding as key support, and as long as we're holding that as key support, I do expect Google to try to continue to push for more upside. So this one looks okay to me still, and I would say stick to the plans here on Google. I'll go ahead and share this here. Let me get back to the chat over here in the morning live stream. Is that kind of what you were looking for there, Navy Plum? Just kind of an updated feedback on, yeah, okay. Yeah, keep an eye on it. I certainly, as long as you've got time, it should, this one still looks like it's okay to play out to the upside to me. Obviously with the, flip-flopping on, what's happening with potentially trying to find some crazy loophole to get rid of Jerome Powell, which is, I would think, a terrible move. It looked like it was trying to push for more yesterday, but obviously the markets just kind of went haywire with all that. So keep an eye on this. It's holding over 180, 195. I'm going to stick to the plan. As long as you've got time on these contracts, it should be fine. But certainly if you're looking to maybe adjust and you've still got a pretty good entry price, I certainly would not begrudge anybody from taking some profits there at this kind of interesting resistance from this current week that we're trying to fight through still. If you're going to play for that shorter price target, I think you also, would need to adjust potential stop loss level there. Let me get this extra stuff out of the way. And for that, I think I'd be looking, right around this 180.35 as a potential amended stop loss on this one. And in hindsight, we could have played this a little tighter, but you also want to be a little bit careful about cutting a potentially still valid trade plan too early. But there's a potential additional stop loss there at 180.35 if you do want to look to take profits at 184.28 on another test of that. I would imagine, though, as we keep testing this wall of sellers, it's going to eventually shrink in and go away entirely, which will allow us to push through and up to our price target there at 185.41. But overall, this trade plan still looks pretty solid to me. Just kind of interesting chop range that it's decided to find here after breaking over the call entry, but not everything moves in our favor on the timelines that we want it to. So, but here is the updated Google chart with that extra stop loss on it, just in case anybody wants to keep track of it. And I think we'll stick with that as kind of our existing trade plan there. What did we have after Google? SoFi. SoFi has been making some great moves. This would be a good one to take a look at as a group here this morning. And it might be time for me to add some levels to SoFi because it has gotten to areas that I have yet to chart, which is a good thing for SoFi shareholders like myself. But yeah, absolutely massive run that it's been on here as of late. Looks like it's getting ready to approach and test current all-time highs, but let's find our levels. This is an interesting one, but not confirmed yet, so we'll continue to keep that on watch at least. Actually, I think that is a good weekly level. Go ahead and lock that in. Come on, move for me just a little bit. There we go. interesting resistance up near this 2456 level, but nothing confirmed on the weekly chart yet. All right, let's take a look at this on the daily. Can we start to clear up what some of these levels are trying to show us, or were trying to show us on the weekly chart? This could move down just a little bit. I think that looks good as a daily level. That does look decent, actually. I'd say this was kind of a placeholder. Let's go with the confirmed levels without getting things too congested with a bunch of hypothetical levels on the chart. Yeah, still not much there on the daily to go off of as far as any additional levels go, and we obviously haven't been up through those levels again yet, so let's focus on this historical price action. That's what's going to help us the most right now. I could make a case for there being a level here, actually. Right about there at 2350. Let's go to the 4-hour chart, one of my favorites for charting. That does look like a pretty decent 4-hour level. This is all-time highs. We'll want to keep an eye on that. I don't think we're going to have any trade plans extending up that far, but always good to know where all-time highs are at. And that's really where the vast majority of our support and resistance is going to be. Let's get rid of that. Don't need that anymore. Don't need this. And whoops, what did I just delete? There we go. Don't need that anymore. All right, let's see if what else is up in this range. There we go. And we're probably going to have to go to some smaller time frames to find it, although that is a good level right here as well. But up in this range, not a lot of data, right? Which is okay, not the end of the world. Oh, whoops, these need to be that color. The only question for me left as far as support and resistance goes is, do we actually have something up there at 2693? And does the hourly chart go back that far to help us? It does. I think it's a little bit lower, actually. Looking at this hourly chart, I think it's sitting right about, actually even lower than that. Right about there. All right, so with our new levels in place, let's see what that shows us. Let's find our confluences. Let's get this plan together. Clean this chart up so it's not as crazy. Levels are going to be a little bit more spread out because we have not spent a lot of time establishing them up in this range. This is also an interesting level that I don't have charted yet and may have just been established recently, but not kind of new. I'm not totally convinced on that one yet, so I'm going to leave it with my placeholder color there. Also interesting top action happening there at 2161, multi-day highs there. Looks like it wants to break through that, and like I said a moment ago, the more it tests that wall of sellers, the more likely it is that it will eventually break through. The question is that a real level? And let's see if we can find out. Come on. Here we go. Yeah, I think that is actually a pretty good level. We did peak just above it there, but I imagine that that was just profit taking. Overall, things still looking very bullish, a little bit overextended, but not terribly overextended. NTS providing the bullish trend and momentum. All right, so where do we want to take a shot at going long on SoFi for continuation to the upside? I would say what I would want to see is a break over this daily level that we just established here at 2214. We can use this newly established level as our backstop, stop loss average down there at 2161. I think if we slip below that, we get into a potential chop range or even a decent pullback. This is an interesting level here as well, actually. Excuse me. First target, I'd have it here at 2294. We'll double check that here in just a second. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. Let's shift back to where we can see the price action actually playing through these levels. Come on, as fast as we can. There we go. Have to go back to 2021. But, yeah, I mean, that pretty much confirms it for me. I like that as the first move. Second move really could extend up there to 2413. There has been a lot of resistance, though, around this 2350. So I think what we'll do is we'll just PT 2 and 3 off of those. And that looks like a good upside trade plan. Downside, at least based on what we're looking at right here, looks like a break back below this 2108 weekly level. Certainly could open up room to the downside and should bring us quite close. Well, let's check the recent price action too. But right now I'm looking at 1986 as a potential price target, either PT1 or potentially PT2. Let's see. We've got fresh price data to use here now. Yeah, I would set that first target there at 2028. Did come just shy of it, but NTS was sitting right there at that point. Caught that third fib down. So the second price target for this, I think, is actually a little bit lower. I do see some support and resistance changing sides there. I do want to see, when was the last time we had a run through this area? Should be a little bit earlier than that 2021 push that we just looked at. There we go. Oh, no. It's not too much earlier or more recent. Yeah, I think that does look pretty decent. Let's take a shot at it. Making that additional move down. Make sure you're moving your stops up by the time we're approaching PT2. Stops should be in profit at that point. So if we don't make it all the way, you get stopped out on your runners. If the price reverses against this potential downside play, which again, it's not looking like it's a ticker leaning for downside at all, but should always be prepared to play it in case the market decides it wants to head that direction for some new reason or tweet or whatever. All right, so 1883 I would set as our third price target. So we've got our plan, so plural, together. So let's get these locked in. Holy crap, how's it 9:05 already? I guess this is the second plan we've looked at, but Google was quick. Surprised. Time is flying this morning. What am I doing? Trade plan pilot. All right, let's get these levels locked in here. 2214, 2294, 2350, and 2413. Stop loss average down at 2161. Put entry at 2108. 20. Whoops. Decimal 20. Come on, man. Fingers. Work with me here. It's 1964, 1883, and 2161. So we do have a shared stop loss average down on this one at 2161. Let's adjust that. How's that look? We could even go a little bit lower. One more. There we go. That looks good. All right. Let's tighten this up. Okay, that looks good, doesn't it? So here is our SoFi trade plan. Sorry, SoFi live stream plan. And let me also get this posted. What, I cannot read that name, but thanks for all the pink waving hands. If you want to type out a name, I'll happily call it to you, but I cannot read that alphabet. But thank you for joining, whoever you may be. So let's talk about this SoFi trade plan real quick. What are we looking for on SoFi? We're looking for continuation over 2214. That should give us a move up to 2294, 2350, and 2413 with a stop loss average down at 2161. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 2108. That should bring targets at 2028, 1964, and 1883. Shared stop loss average down at 2161. Those are your SoFi trade plans. Let's go. Oh, wait a second. I am getting way ahead of myself. What am I doing? Remember symbol. Let's get this locked in. Thursday live stream plan 1. Let's get our alerts set. I also forgot to post this in the elite chat. I'm in a rush to try to get to all these ticker requests this morning. But these alerts can be tremendously helpful. So let's make sure we don't forget those. Alert, same as chart, good. Let's give it till next week. Close a business. Okay, webhooks in place. That all looks good. Let's go. All right. Alerts are set. All right, so what was next on our list here for the morning live stream? I did get a DM for MU. And Veritas is here in the YouTube stream. We also had a request for Bull. All right, let's see if we can't get Bull and MU done. I will try to take a quick look at Tesla for you. All right, let's get to MU. I've had a couple of people ask for it lately. Let's get this fixed up there. Let's get these levels tightened up. Get this old trade plan stuff out of the way. Let me just real quick organize my stuff. There we go. All right. So what are we seeing here on MU? Definitely a bearish name and a bullish market at the moment. Next leg down definitely opens up below this what is that, 110.99 level. I think I got this level a little low. That's probably sitting more like right there. I think that also makes for a good stop loss for that downside that's taking shape there. Let's see. Yep. Right about here, we've got a good level. And a call entry there. Should make a move up to that over there. Let's get this locked in down here. There is a tiny little gap, and I'll make a small adjustment on this level to accommodate that gap that we would test the top of down here at 106.29. And another gap below to fill. I kind of oversaturated this area with levels, I think. Could be a mix of some old fib extensions in there too. I would shift this up to here. So I'd say, yeah, let's go for a test of the next gap down, the top of it. For a third price target upside, let's see what else we need up here. There's definitely something sitting right here that I do not have charted yet. Yeah, that's a pretty glaring level, although it's been a while since I've looked at MU, so we'll definitely put that. Also 200 SMA confluence, at least at the moment as we're looking at things. But that makes for a good PT2 to the upside. Third price target, yeah, I'm looking at this 123.15. All right, that took shape pretty quickly. So let's lock in our trade plan pilot here. 1703, 119.51, 121.22, 123. Buddy, come on. And stop loss average down 114.81 to the downside, 110.99 to 108.70, 104.06. Stop loss average down at 112.93. No shared stop loss average down on this one. Let's get, did I know? Oh, those are the ones I just added. Wow, didn't realize I added that many. There we go, that looks good. All right, here are the MU live stream plans. And let's post this in the Elite chat before I forget and grab our message link for our alerts. Boom. All right. Set those and then we'll talk through this. Let's also, before I forget, lock in Thursday live stream plan 2. And set our alerts for a week out. These will get fed to the Xtrades Discord main options chat, so keep your eyes peeled there. So let's talk through this, and then I'll give you all some quick takes on any tickers that we weren't able to get to full trade plans for. So what are we looking for here on MU Micron? We are looking for a break below 110.99, and this may continue to the downside down to 108.70, 106.29, and 104.06 with a stop loss average down at 112.93 for that downside trade plan. Upside, we're looking and waiting for a break over 117.03. That should give targets at 119.51, 121.22, and 123.15 with a stop loss average down at 114.81. That is those are your MU trade plans. All right, let's take a quick look at the other ones that have come through here this morning, so I can try to at least give folks a quick take on those before I need to go get to work on the daily SPY plan. Bull is ripping to the upside here this morning, breaking over that key resistance there at 1336. We're still holding shares on this one. So looking for more upside on it for sure. I would like to see that, at least personally. Yeah, looks very strong, flipping things bullish pre-market. SMAs are bullish. Let's flip the flag. It's got momentum below. The question is, where does it have room up to? As long as we hold above 1336, I'm going to stick with my prior estimate of 1425, but it could certainly try to push as high as 1465, and maybe I've got 1465 a little bit high, or maybe that rejection came just a little bit shy of it for some reason, but somewhere very close to that 1425 to 1465 range is where I would be looking to take some profits, as long as bull is holding over 1336 and you decide to go long on it. But overall, looks very strong. Let's see if we see anything else on any other time frames. 333 SMA is up there in the mix. That's a bizarre adjustment of the 200 SMA. That is very weird. I don't think I've ever seen a moving average, especially not a simple moving average, do that. I'll have to look into that. That's very weird. See if we can't. Or maybe it's because the average is a mix of a crazy spike and a big drop, and that started to get factored in there. I don't know. That's very weird. It may be a first that I've seen a simple moving average move that rapidly to the downside when the price action is actually pushing to the upside during that push down. But it's gotta have something to do with how these averages are calculating out in that process. But still, very weird. Yeah, that's strange. First time for everything, right? Nice hold of the 333 there. Beautiful confluence with that 1208 that it's been pushing off of. Is slipping back below 1338 here pre-market. We do want to see it hold above that level for continuation to the upside. But yeah, I don't see anything that's saying that it doesn't make it up to 1425 to, potentially 1465, as long as it's holding above that 1336 level. Or, sorry. Yeah, 1336. It's now popped back above. So that's my quick take on bull. Hopefully that's helpful for you, new trader. Sorry it wasn't a full trade plan. Rigetti RGTI. We'll take a quick look at it. Booming this morning. Or no, sorry, that's from yesterday. But holding the back test here at 1585. That looks great to me. Let's take a look at this on the hourly. Get a better feel for things. Got momentum right there. Bullish flag just below. They did have a very significant development in the quantum computing space. Highest fidelity rate achieved by a quantum computing system yet at 99.5% fidelity. So low error rate essentially is what that means. Yeah, I mean, over 1585, this looks like it could build some support to try to push higher. The question is are there even established levels above this? The answer is yes. Yeah, I would certainly be watching. I would also make an adjustment here too, actually. Although I think those purple levels might be fib extensions or fib retracements of some kind. I typically use those colors for fib related levels. But yeah, holding over 1585. I think it tries for 1751 and then 1905. Call it 19 flat if you want to. But yeah, looks good. Could also, if you haven't already caught a move, try to catch this pullback. It is still a little bit overextended with that big move yesterday, so be very cautious. 1429 looks like a great buy the dip level to me, so that's my quick take on RGTI. Let's see what else. Ryan, who's here a lot. Neo, let's take a quick look at it, and then I do need to get working on this SPY plan. Nice break above, back test of 397. Key level now acting as support. Rejected that key level above at 426. Over 426 looks like it can make a move up to 445 though. So that's just a very quick take. Looks bullish, strong move. China names are rebounding with things kind of looking like they may be easing as far as trade between us and China and semiconductors being able to be shipped out there again. So that's my quick take on Neo. Savage, first time to your Tesla toast. Let's take a quick look at Tesla. And then I really do need to go get the SPY plan put together and published. Tesla looks like it's finally flipping this 321.08 key resistance to support. It's double topped off that a few times. Now we see it here after hours yesterday and pre-market. Looks like it's confirming a break over that 321.08 key level. I believe that will open up room to somewhere very close to this 326.35, if not all the way up to 328.50. Oh, there is that fib right there for NTS2. So I would look at 326.55. It's a level I haven't mapped yet. Looks like it's trying to show itself, but it's not super clear. But I think there is something developing around this 326.54 level. So I'd be looking at that as a price target. I would say wait for a pullback. See if we get another test and bounce off of 321.08 to play up to 326.54. Set my stop loss there at 316.97. All right, so that's about everything that I can cover in the time that we have this morning. I do need to go get the SPY plan put together. I want to thank everybody, both on YouTube and in our Discord, for joining me. My apologies if I wasn't able to get to your tickers. I try to get through as many as I possibly can, but obviously we've got pre-market and market open bearing down on us, and I need to get the SPY plan out as close to market open as possible. So Bubble time, sorry I wasn't able to get to Amazon for you. If you shoot me a DM, I'll try to get you some insights on it throughout the day today. All right, so with that, we will be back next Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do, again, appreciate everybody who joined me this morning for taking the time to educate themselves and learn with me and plan with me. As we always say here on the FOMO live streams, plan your trades, trade your plans, go out there and get some green, keep those wins big, keep those losses small. Remember, we're looking for profits, not perfection. I will see you all in the chats, and I will see you back here next Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Until then, take care.